Poland began as a country over 1,000 years ago. A group of people called the Slavs lived in the area that is now Poland. They lived in small tribes and had different gods. The most important tribe was called the Polans. They lived near rivers and built strong walls around their towns. Around the year 960, a prince named Mieszko became the leader of these tribes. He was from a family called the Piast Dynasty. Mieszko was a smart leader who wanted to make his land stronger and safer. He married a princess from Bohemia named Dobrowa. She was a Christian, which meant she believed in Jesus Christ. In the year 966, something very important happened. Mieszko decided to become a Christian too. This event is called the Baptism of Poland. It was not just about religion, it was also about politics. By becoming Christian, Mieszko protected his land from attacks by German armies who wanted to force Christianity on pagan peoples. When Mieszko became Christian, many of his people followed him. Poland joined the family of Christian countries in Europe. This helped Poland trade with other nations and learn new things. Mieszko built churches and invited priests to teach his people. Mieszko's son was named Boleslaw I the Brave. When Mieszko died in 992, Boleslaw became the new ruler. He was even stronger than his father. Boleslaw expanded Poland by winning wars and making the country bigger. In 1025, just before he died, Boleslaw became the first king of Poland. Before this time, Polish rulers were only called dukes, but now Poland was important enough to have a real king. The Piast Dynasty created the Polish state and brought Christianity to the Polish people. This was the real beginning of Poland as we know it today. After Boleslaw I the Brave died in 1025, Poland faced many problems. His son Mieszko too became king, but he was not as strong as his father. Other countries attacked Poland, and there were rebellions inside the country. People who still believed in the old gods fought against Christianity. Some nobles wanted more power for themselves. The kingdom became weak and divided. Mieszko too lost the title of king and became just a duke again. When he died in 1034, Poland almost fell apart completely. There was a big rebellion by people who wanted to go back to the old pagan religion. They destroyed churches and killed priests. Many nobles fled to other countries. Mieszko too's son was Casimir I, who was called the Restorer. He had to flee Poland when he was young because of all the fighting. He lived in Germany and learned about ruling from the German kings. In 1040, Casimir came back to Poland with help from German armies. He worked very hard to rebuild the country. Casimir moved the capital city from Poznan to Krakow, which became the new center of Poland. He rebuilt the church and brought Christianity back to all parts of the country. He also brought back the Polish army and government. However, Poland was still much smaller and weaker than before. After Casimir came his son Boleslaw II, called the Bold. He tried to make Poland strong again, and even became king in 1076. But Boleslaw too made big mistakes. He had a terrible fight with a bishop named Stanislav and killed him. This made the people very angry, and Boleslaw had to leave Poland. The last ruler of this period was the Ladislaw Herman, who ruled until 1102. He was not very strong, and let the nobles have too much power. During this time, Poland remained weak and divided. When the Ladislaw Herman died, his son Boleslaw III became the ruler of Poland. Boleslaw III was called Wry Mouth because he had an injury to his mouth. He was a good military leader and won some important battles. But when he died in 1138, he made a decision that caused big problems for Poland. Boleslaw III divided Poland among his sons. Each son got a piece of land to rule as a duke. This was supposed to keep peace in the family, but instead it made Poland very weak. The country was split into many small duchies that often fought each other. Brothers fought brothers, and the country could not defend itself properly. This period is called the Fragmentation of Poland. Instead of one strong kingdom, there were many small duchies. The most important duke was called the High Duke, but he did not have much real power over the others. Sometimes foreign armies attacked Poland, and the small duchies could not work together to stop them. The worst attack came from the east. In 1241, fierce warriors called Mongols, also known as Tatars, invaded Poland. These were horsemen from Asia who had conquered many other lands. They moved very fast and were excellent fighters. At the Battle of Legnica, they defeated a Polish army led by Duke Henry II the Pious. Henry died in the battle, and the Mongols burned many cities and towns. Many Polish people were killed or taken as slaves. The Mongol attacks showed how weak the divided Poland had become. But slowly, some dukes began to understand that Poland needed to be united again. They started working to bring all the duchies back together under one ruler. Finally, in 1320, a duke named Ladislaw I became king of all Poland again. He was called the Elbow High because he was short, but he was very determined to reunite the country. This ended the period of division and began to make Poland strong once more. After the Ladislaw I reunited Poland, his son Casimir III became king in 1333. Casimir III was one of the best kings Poland ever had. He is called Casimir the Great because he did so many good things for the country. He was the last king from the Piast family, which had ruled Poland since the beginning. When Casimir became king, Poland was still weak from many years of division and wars. But Casimir was a very smart ruler who preferred to solve problems by talking rather than fighting. He made peace agreements with Poland's enemies and used diplomacy to protect his country. This gave Poland time to grow strong again. Casimir made many important changes inside Poland. He created new laws that were the same for the whole country. Before this, different parts of Poland had different laws, which caused confusion. The new laws protected both rich nobles and poor peasants. People called Casimir the Polish Justinian because his laws were so good and fair, just like the famous Roman Emperor Justinian. The king also helped Poland's economy grow strong. He encouraged trade with other countries and gave special privileges to merchants. Many new towns were built, and old ones grew bigger. Casimir introduced a new type of money called the Krakow gross, which made trade easier. Poland became richer during his reign. One of Casimir's greatest achievements was founding the University of Krakow in 1364. This was only the second university in Central Europe and helped Poland become a center of learning. Smart people came from all over Europe to study there. The university still exists today and is called the Jagiellonian University. Casimir was also very good to Jewish people. He gave them protection and encouraged them to come to Poland. This began a long tradition of Poland being a safe place for Jews. Many Jewish communities grew and prospered under his rule. When Casimir the Great died in 1370, he had no sons to become king after him. His nephew, Louis I of Hungary, became king of Poland. But Louis was more interested in ruling Hungary than Poland, so his rule was not very successful for the Polish people. After Louis died, something very important happened in 1386. The Polish nobles chose a young princess named Jadwiga to be their ruler. She was very smart and good, and the people loved her. At the same time, there was a powerful prince in Lithuania named Jogaila. Lithuania was a large country next to Poland that was still pagan. The Polish nobles decided that Jadwiga should marry Jogaila. This marriage would join Poland and Lithuania together and make them both stronger. Jogaila agreed, but first he had to become a Christian. He took the name the Ladislaw and became King the Ladislaw II Jagiello of Poland. This started the Jagiellonian Dynasty, which would rule Poland for almost 200 years. The union between Poland and Lithuania was very successful. Together, they created one of the largest countries in Europe. Poland brought Christianity, laws, and culture to Lithuania. Lithuania brought military strength and lots of land. The combined country stretched from the Baltic Sea in the north to near the Black Sea in the south. During this time, Poland had many great victories. The most famous was the Battle of Grunwald in 1410, where the Polish-Lithuanian army defeated the powerful Teutonic Knights. This battle made Poland and Lithuania very famous throughout Europe. The Jagiellonian period was called a golden age for Poland. The country was rich, powerful, and respected. Polish culture, art, and learning flourished. The royal court in Krakow became one of the most important in Europe. Poland was tolerant of different religions and welcomed people from many other countries. This period ended in 1572, when the last Jagiellonian king died without children. But the union with Lithuania continued and became even stronger. In 1569, something very important happened that changed Poland and Lithuania forever. The two countries signed an agreement called the Union of Lublin. This created a new state called the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. It was no longer just two countries working together. Now they were officially one country with one king and one parliament. The Commonwealth was huge. one of the largest countries in Europe at that time. It covered what is now Poland, Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, and parts of Russia, Latvia, and Estonia. About 11 million people lived in this enormous country. It stretched from the Baltic Sea in the north, almost to the Black Sea in the south. The Commonwealth was very unusual compared to other European countries. While most countries were ruled by powerful kings, the Commonwealth was ruled by the nobles, who were called the Slakta. These nobles had many rights and freedoms. They could elect their king, and the king had to follow laws made by the parliament, called the Sejm. This system was called Golden Liberty. One of the best things about the Commonwealth was religious tolerance. While other European countries fought terrible wars about religion, the Commonwealth allowed people of different faiths to live together peacefully. Catholics, Protestants, Orthodox Christians, Jews, and Muslims all had the right to practice their religion. The Warsaw Confederation in 1573 made this religious freedom official. The Commonwealth was also very wealthy. Polish grain fed much of Europe, and the country grew rich from trade. Beautiful cities were built, and arts and culture flourished. The Commonwealth had one of the best armies in Europe and won many battles against enemies like the Ottoman Empire, Russia, and Sweden. However, the Commonwealth's political system also had problems. The nobles had so much power that it became hard to make important decisions. This would cause serious troubles in the future. After 1648, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth began to have serious problems. The country that had once been so powerful and wealthy started to become weak. There were many reasons for this decline, and it led to one of the saddest periods in Polish history. The Commonwealth faced attacks from many enemies at the same time. In 1648, Cossacks in Ukraine rebelled against Polish rule. This rebellion was very violent and destroyed many towns and cities. Then Sweden invaded Poland in what is called the Deluge. Swedish armies conquered most of the country and caused terrible damage. Russia also attacked Poland and took control of eastern territories. These constant wars were devastating for the Commonwealth. Many people died, cities were destroyed, and the economy collapsed. The population fell dramatically, and the country became much poorer than before. The political system of the Commonwealth also caused problems. The nobles had a rule called the liberum veto, which meant that any single noble could stop the parliament from making decisions. This made it almost impossible to pass important laws or reforms. Foreign countries like Russia began bribing Polish nobles to use the veto and block changes that might make Poland stronger. By the 1770s, Poland was so weak that its neighbors decided to take pieces of the country for themselves. Russia, Prussia, and Austria made secret agreements to divide Polish land between them. In 1772, they carried out the first partition of Poland, taking about 1/3 of the country. The Poles tried to reform their country to make it stronger. In 1791, they wrote a new constitution on May 3rd, which limited the nobles' power and tried to create a modern state. But this made Poland's neighbors even more worried. In 1793, Russia and Prussia carried out the Second Partition, taking even more Polish territory. The final blow came in 1795 with the Third Partition. After this, Poland completely disappeared from the map of Europe. The proud Commonwealth that had once been one of Europe's greatest powers no longer existed as an independent country. After the Third Partition in 1795, Poland disappeared as an independent country for 123 years. The Polish people found themselves living under three different foreign rulers: Russia, Prussia, later Germany, and Austria. Each of these empires tried to control the Poles and destroy Polish culture, but the Polish people never gave up hope of being free again. Life under foreign rule was very difficult for the Poles. The Russian part was treated the worst. The Russians tried to force Polish people to speak Russian instead of Polish. They closed Polish schools and tried to make Poles become part of Russian culture. Many Polish nobles and intellectuals were sent to prison in Siberia, far away in cold Russia, but the Polish people fought back in many ways. They kept their language, religion, and traditions alive in secret. Polish mothers taught their children Polish songs and stories at home. The Catholic Church helped protect Polish culture, even when it was dangerous. The Poles also tried several armed uprisings to win back their freedom. The biggest were in 1830 and 1863. In both uprisings, brave Polish soldiers fought against the Russian army. However, Russia was much stronger, and both uprisings failed. After each failure, the Russians became even harsher toward the Poles. Many Polish heroes were killed or sent to Siberia. During this time, many Polish people left their homeland and went to live in other countries, especially France and America. These immigrants worked to keep the world aware of Poland's situation. Famous Polish artists like the composer Frédéric Chopin and the poet Adam Mickiewicz created beautiful works that express Polish longing for freedom. World War I finally brought hope for Polish independence. The war weakened all three empires that had divided Poland. When the war ended in 1918, Poland was able to become independent again. On November 11, 1918, Poland returned to the map of Europe after 123 years. This day is still celebrated as Poland's Independence Day. When Poland became independent in 1918, the Polish people were very happy. The new country was called the Second Polish Republic. Józef Pilsudski, a famous Polish leader who had fought for independence, became the head of the new government. But creating the new Poland was not easy. The country had to fight several wars to establish its borders. The most important conflict was the Polish-Soviet War from 1919 to 1921. The communist Russians wanted to spread their revolution to Western Europe through Poland. The Polish army, led by Pilsudski, fought hard and won a great victory at the Battle of Warsaw in 1920. This victory saved not only Poland, but probably all of Western Europe from communist invasion. During the 1920s and 1930s, Poland worked hard to rebuild itself. The country had been devastated by World War I, and bringing together territories that had been ruled by 3 different empires was challenging. Poland became a democracy, but it faced many economic and political problems. In 1926, Pilsudski took power in a military coup because he was worried about the government's weakness. Poland's independence ended tragically in 1939. Nazi Germany attacked Poland on September 1st, 1939, starting World War II. Just 17 days later, the Soviet Union also attacked Poland from the east. The brave Polish army fought against both enemies but was overwhelmed. Poland was divided between Nazi Germany and the Soviet Union. World War II was a terrible time for Poland. The Nazis and Soviets killed millions of Polish people, including almost all of Poland's Jewish population in the Holocaust. About 6 million Polish citizens died during the war. But Polish people never stopped fighting. They formed underground organizations and fought as partisans. After the war ended in 1945, Poland was liberated by the Soviet Union, but this meant communist rule. For the next 44 years, Poland was controlled by the Communist Party and was part of the Soviet Empire in Eastern Europe. In the 1980s, Polish workers created a movement called Solidarity, led by Lech Walesa. This peaceful movement eventually brought democracy back to Poland in 1989. The year 1989 was one of the most important in Polish history. The communist government finally agreed to hold free elections, and the Solidarity movement won a great victory. This peaceful change from communism to democracy was called the Round Table Talks, because the government and opposition sat together at a round table to negotiate. Lech Walesa, the leader of Solidarity, became president of Poland in 1990. This was the beginning of the Third Polish Republic. Poland had to change everything: its economy, government, and laws. It was not easy, but the Polish people worked very hard to build a modern, democratic country. One of the most important changes was moving from a communist economy to a free market economy. This meant that people could start their own businesses and own private property again. At first, this transition was difficult and many people lost their jobs. But gradually, the economy began to grow and Poland became more prosperous. Poland also wanted to rejoin the family of Western nations. The country's main goals were to join NATO, the Western Military Alliance, and the European Union. Poland achieved these important goals when it joined NATO in 1999 and the European Union in 2004. These memberships brought security, prosperity, and recognition that Poland was truly part of the Western world again. Today, Poland is a successful democracy with over 38 million people. The economy has grown strongly since 1989, and Poland is now considered a developed country. Polish cities like Warsaw, Krakow, and Gdansk are modern and prosperous. The country has good universities, hospitals, and infrastructure. Poland is now a respected member of both NATO and the European Union. Polish soldiers serve alongside allies around the world, and Poland has a voice in important international decisions. The country has come a long way from the dark days of foreign occupation and communist rule. Modern Poland faces challenges like any country, but it is democratic, free, and independent. The Polish people preserved their culture, language, and identity through centuries of foreign rule, and now they can be proud of their modern, successful nation.